Hey guys, Matt Olson here from MIP. We have some new products to discuss dealing with our all-new Bypass1 piston. You might have saw a release about it a couple weeks back that we had at the Worlds in Australia. Our all-new Bypass1 pistons have a couple differences from what we've had in the past. The Bypass1 technology has been out since 2010, so it's 8 years old, but with the help of Mugen ace Adam Drake, we've learned a whole bunch of new setups for the pistons and really dialed it in for these new age tracks. So without further ado, we have Adam Drake here from Mugen Racing to discuss a little bit about his experience with the Bypass1 pistons. Thank you, Adam, for joining us.
Thank you, I appreciate it. It's been a great pleasure working with everyone at MIP and being involved with this project.
Thank you. So, being that you've been actually on the forefront of this with our head engineer Brandon Upshaw and Eustace Moore of MIP, and before we had octagon-shaped pistons, you might have tried those in the past, and now we've gone to the new 6-hole and 8-hole, where it's more of, it gets to where the guys understand it more, but now has the bypass technology in it. So what have you seen from differences from when you first tested to now where you're at right now?
Well, the great thing is with MIP having the shock dyno and the ability to test everything, we were able to start with like a standard valving that we were already using and then introduce the valves to be able to control the rebound. And the thing with it is, with having just the holes, is it makes it much easier, and like you said, easier to understand for the average guy. You can get a simple drill bit set and drill the pistons out to your liking, or I actually recommend starting with the same valving that you're currently using at your local track, and then just playing with the valves from there, because the pistons come in an 8-hole configuration with 1.2 holes and also 6 by 1.3, and you could start with those pistons the way that they are, but you're introducing so many different variables. So I recommend if you run a 6 by 1.3, or if you drill them out to 6 by 1.35, when you get the MIP pistons, you drill them out to the same. That way you're experiencing the Bypass1 technology and not making so many different changes to your shock package all at once.
Gotcha. So you had mentioned the valving. So the valving has been introduced since 8 years ago when we had this, and it comes in different thicknesses. So if guys can see here a little bit, here's a little green colored valve. This is our 3,000ths valve, but the whole package comes with 3,000ths, 5,000ths, 4,000ths, and 7,000ths all together. So actually the 4,000ths valve is what we call it as a gap valve. And then those other ones, so you're able to change in 2,000ths increments of where you're going to be. And just dealing with that, what would you do now? Because that's realistically the main magic behind this whole system. You have the 6 bypass holes that are in the center of the piston, and then you have your outer 6 or 8 holes. But the 6 center holes, when that little valve washer, when it's returning down, the valve flexes up, which makes it return faster. So rebound is faster. So being that, depending on your valve characteristics for your sizing, what would you do? Because I know from my experience in 1/5 scale and in 1/10 scale, depending on track conditions, depending on oil viscosity, and depending on temperature of the outside conditions, that changes how your shock, and that goes with how normal shocks go. But that changes what oil you're going to run, what valving you're going to run for what conditions. So kind of where would you go or lead guys into just a kind of a cheat sheet of what they would do depending on those 3 main points?
So typically with the MIP Bypass1 pistons, I like to start with the blue valve in the rear and clear or matte colored valve in the front. So what that's doing for me is it's actually giving me a faster rebound in the rear of the vehicle than it does the front. And depending on the track conditions, like you mentioned, if the grip level, the size of the bumps, or even just the temperature changes, typically in the past all we could really change for the most part was you would just adjust your oil or the valving, the holes in the piston. Well, now we can use the color valving to actually control the rebound, speed up or slow down. So as the track gets rougher, or if the grip levels go down, you can speed up the rebound, helps keep the tires on the ground, and keeps the vehicle driving just more precise and has more grip overall.
Gotcha. So what would you do with like temperature, when temperature goes down or comes up depending on the valving and your viscosity of oil?
So with temperature, you may still adjust your oil if it's a drastic change in temperature, but what I found myself doing more is if I still like or feel like I need the compression to where the vehicle lands good, it gets a little bit colder, I don't want to change that, I'll just go to a thinner valve, and usually I'll adjust then the valving equally front to rear.
Okay.
So if I go down in valve in front, I'll also go down in valve in the rear. But it's something that you just kind of have to play with and find what you like for your vehicle. But for me, again, if the track gets really bumpy or really loose, but I feel the front of the car is supported and I like the steering feel and the precision of it, I may sometimes change to just a thinner valve in the back. But if I'm changing just because of temperature, or if it's like the grip level is reduced, I'll usually make an equal change front to rear so that the balance of the vehicle stays the same.
Nice. So what's really cool about this Bypass 1 system as well is that you can stack the valves.
Correct.
So have you found that you have to stack them? Because realistically, when we have between 3,000s to 10,000s valving of what you guys are going to be able to get in the future, is that it's an unlimited amount of setup that you can do.
Yeah, you're really able to fine tune and kind of split the difference between the valves by stacking the valves. So if you use, say, 2 of the green valves, you can kind of split that difference and really fine tune to your liking.
Awesome, awesome. So we know that you guys ended up going to Worlds with this system. So we kind of kept it hush-hush this entire time we were working with you and the Mugen team. I know that Ryan Mayfield, one of our good friends, super fast driver, ace for Mugen, and he was running at Silver State. He was doing really well with it, and you're saying very good things.
Yep.
And now you guys are at Worlds. We ended up providing the whole Mugen team with Pistons. Did anybody also go to it when they were at Worlds?
Yeah, there was other drivers that used it, like Mike Trury. We kind of kept it to our close core, Mugen team. There's some drivers that maybe have agreements or run other people's Pistons. So, we wanted to keep this special. You guys helped us out, and when we started developing and doing the testing for this 6 or 8 months ago, we saw that there was so much potential that we're super grateful that MIP was able to kind of give us the exclusive to get us through the World Championship to where we could use that to our advantage.
Yeah, it was so hush-hush, and it was such an advantage that you're like, hey, we can kind of keep this on the low.
Yeah, and then,
it would help us out. So that's awesome. So how did Ryan ended up? Ryan ended up TQing after the semis. Full event.
He qualified, I believe, 4th after qualifying, but in the semifinals, he won his semifinal with the fastest time, which gives him pole for the 60-minute final. He was super happy with his car, just made some small changes, kind of freshened up the clutch, and new air filter. He ended up changing tires for the final because it's, again, a 60-minute final versus 30-minute semifinal. And he ran super strong the entire final. Everything was good, consistent. I think he maybe ran a little bit too hard of a compound tire. He was expecting to get a little bit more heat in the tires and felt as though he was going to need that more dense tread.
Well, because it did rain as well, so it might have changed the track temperature.
Yeah. But, he controlled and he led the final early on and had a really good battle with David Ungaro, who ended up winning the final. And, at that level, it's racing. So
one small mistake,
yeah, one little mistake, or maybe even just something as small as your ride height, or pick something a little wrong. We had all week or 10 days to kind of tune and dial our cars in, and Ryan was super happy and super competitive and ended up on the podium, which it was his first podium in 8 scale.
That's amazing.
So something to still be proud of, but obviously, you're
always want to be number one, but he was there. He was in the
very competitive and, very good result.
That's awesome. So, is there anything that you would say is like the one thing you love about the Bypass1 pistons, you know, over what you're able to do with necessarily maybe a competitor's piston or something like that? What would you think is the main tech behind this that makes it to that next level?
So what I like most about the MIP Bypass1 pistons is that you can fine tune your vehicle to all track conditions. Some of the other thing is that they're super durable. Obviously the quality of MIP's products are amazing. With the color valves, there's just less that can go wrong. Some of the other pistons on the market that maybe use like a flat type system, they can detach from the piston, you can have problems. With these, it's super reliable, and again, the big thing is just being able to fine tune and adjust. It's amazing once you spend some time and you actually play with and see the power of making adjustments with the color valves, what you can really do with your vehicle.
Now, we've talked about everything from adjustability, from fine-tuning the pistons, for how it feels on the car, on the track, but what is it really for you? What does it really translate to between being connected to your car? Like, within your controller, on the track, what does it do? Does it fatigue less? You know, everything like that. Why do you use the pistons?
The big thing is that it just makes the vehicle easier to drive. Especially, like, the worse the conditions are, the more of a difference or improvement it's going to be.
The more they shine.
If you're on a just perfect track, yes, there's still advantages to using the bypass pistons, but as the track deteriorates, gets bumpy, the grip levels go down, that's when you see even more of an advantage. And then also just once you're able to spend time and experience it, to fine tune it to your liking. You and I may use the same valving as far as the holes in the piston, but you drive a little bit more aggressive than I do, so you may run a different valving front or rear. So being able to just fine tune your car is what's so cool about it.
Yeah, it's awesome. So guys that are out there, this piston is really whatever you make it to be. So we just wanted to offer that to you guys. Like I said, it's going to be available for the Mugen cars very, very soon, as well as others in the future. So I think we've kind of gone through everything about the whole bypass piston here, and couldn't thank you enough, Adam, for being here and joining us and being through this whole experience with us. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me and letting me be involved with the project. It's been super fun to work on, and with being a racer and being in product development for so long, you see and hear about so many new things and new technology, and you know, something like shock piston, there's been so many variations over the years that it's simple and easy, you try it, but you're maybe a little like skeptical, like, come on, it's a shock piston, how big of a difference can it make? And this was something that, you know, truly kind of blew my mind, and again, being able to fine tune and see the advantages as the track deteriorates, it's been awesome. So I appreciate being a part of it.
Awesome. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.